Greetings from Mama Janet, the family, the NRM headquarters, and the entire government to all of you. Congratulations on completing the year 2024, and we thank God for protecting Uganda. Uganda remained peaceful on account of God, a strong army, the other security services, and a supportive population. You, for instance, remember when the ADF terrorists came from Congo, killed the children of Rubiraha Secondary School, killed 2 tourists and a Ugandan, entered Chibale Forest National Park, and started killing a few people around the forest. The combined capacity of Uganda's security apparatus was partially activated, including the LDUs. Within a couple of months, the whole group was destroyed, including the killing of the group leader, Kamusu. This was in the month of June 2023, that is last year. The same was the case when in the year 2021, terrorists using jambias, pangas, started killing people in the Masaka area. The group was crushed. It is that capacity of God, the army, the other sister security forces, and the people that even this year ending now, has kept Uganda stable. There were, for instance, some shallow schemes by the local traitors and their foreign sponsors to cause criminality and civil disorder like you saw in Kenya, including gathering demonstrators and shooting them using Iraqi returnees to give the impression that it is the government that killed them. The whole evil scheme was defeated by God, UPDF, the other security agencies, and the people, as pointed out above. However, there is rampant stealing of cattle, goats, etc., and the soft handling by the police and the courts of such criminals through giving them police bonds and court bails. I have raised the issue of bails with His Lordship the Chief Justice, and I have banned the issue of police bonds. Any police personnel that gives a police bond to a village thief when the case is ready for trial will be held fully accountable. Firm legal handling of criminals is very useful. I've shared with you through the social media how recently in my Karamoja trip, I was told that a total of 3,000 Karachunas, through the efficient and dedicated mechanism of the military court-martial, are in the different jails. 900 of them in Kitaria prison alone. This explains why there is now total peace in Karamoja and the surrounding districts of Acholi, Lango, Teso, Bugisu, and Sebei. It is also good for those Karachunas. Many of them would be dead by now on account of clashing with the UPDF. Let the government introduce skilling to these young people so that when they get out of prisons, they can create wealth and jobs for themselves and for other Ugandans. Similarly, the handling of the village thieves, legally but firmly, is good for the villages and also good for those thieves themselves. I recently got a report from an attendant of the advanced military course of the National Defense College in Jeru, following their field research. In the research, they noticed some people drying green coffee harvested prematurely. When they inquired, they were told by the Wananchi that Nibatanga-Tangana is a Nyankwere word which means to compete with some other people as to who would do something first. Nibatanga-Tangana. With the marijuana smoking youth that idle in the trading centers, doing nothing, and then steal people's coffee at night. What are the other DCs doing? Why do they not engage these youth to direct their efforts towards honest work? How about the police? If the concerned people do not act, I will involve the UPDF to empower all the wealth creators, farmers, etc., to guard their property by activating the vast militia of our LDUs. It will not be good for those thieves, because once we arm the villagers to defend their gardens, it will not be a good idea for the thieves. This harvesting of immature coffee will affect the quality of our coffee internationally. It's not acceptable. I congratulate the Ugandans on the good coffee prices. This is because of the drought problems in Brazil, Vietnam, and other coffee-growing countries. It also confirms the correctness of the NRM strategy of its 1996 manifesto of the 4 acres model and 7 activities. This was 1 acre for clonal coffee, 1 acre for fruits, mangoes, oranges, pineapples, apples or grapes, 1 acre for pasture for dairy cattle, 1 acre for food crops, bananas, cassava, emondi, Irish potatoes, etc., and poultry for eggs and piggery in the backyard, a kanyima, a manju, as well as fish farming at the edge of the wetlands. This was the medicine for people who had fragmented the land so badly that they now had only 4 acres or less. When we made these recommendations, we had studied accurately the demand for all the products that to grow in Uganda, and we had studied the demand for those products within Uganda, within Africa, and internationally. We knew they had very good demand. That's why we recommended them in writing to you people. That is why we included these 7 activities under intensive agriculture, where you use small land to get good money for the family, 4 acres or less. There are other products that the country needs, other agricultural products that the country needs, such as tea, cotton, sugarcane, tobacco, maize, etc. But can only make enough money for the family if you do them on a big scale. We included these into extensive agriculture. In order to support both modes of agriculture, intensive and extensive, the NRM liberated our research scientists from the tyranny of the past regimes, and recently we have started paying them well in the face of fierce opposition by some groups, including the bogus UCDA that were misinforming Ugandans that they were responsible for the success of the coffee effort. It is our scientists that have developed these seeds, all the seeds used in Uganda. These scientists have never been under UCDA. Moreover, Operation Wealth Creation distributed more coffee seedlings than the corrupt UCDA. When I involved Operation Wealth Creation in the seed distribution in 2013, our production of coffee was 2.7 million bags. It is now 9 million bags because of Operation Wealth Creation. However, we do not only talk about coffee. We do not want kaichokomba, baganda kweli tokongoja, walking on one leg like the children do when they are playing. We don't want to say you do coffee, 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 coffee only. No. That is kongoja. That is walking on one leg. It's good that the coffee prices are high because of the shortage in the world, but to be on the safe side, to be like the wise man who built on the firm foundation instead of building in the sand, we should have a broader base for the family activities, which is much safer. That's why we talk of the 7 activities for the small scale. And if you have got bigger land, you can do the bigger range of the products, including the ones for extensive farming, like the cotton and so on. We are now adding irrigation in order to increase the yield and stability of crops and livestock production. A blueprint for irrigation will be unveiled to the whole country. It is not only coffee that has done well. Many other crops and livestock activities, as well as industrial products and services, have done well. That is why our inflation rate is low all the time. In spite of peace and a robust economy, even when we have not done all that we intend to do, this year has also brought some misery on account of natural disasters. We had the petrol tanker accident at Kigogwa, the landslides in Bulamburi, the floods in Kasese, River Nyamigasani, Kitezi, landslides, etc. This is regrettable, especially when most of it is avoidable. Avoidable how? Do not live or build in a vulnerable area. Do not live or build in a vulnerable area. Why do you build in a wetland? Why do you build on a wetland? Don't you know that one day that house will be swept away by the water? Why do you build on a steep slope that is sharper than 30 degrees? We told you this long ago. Don't build on a steep slope which is 30 degrees, which is more than 30 degrees in terms of angle. very dangerous. It's like if I try to sit on that wall there, what am I trying to do? People sit on the ground like where I'm sitting now, but if I try to hang there, what science am I following? Why do you build in the flood plains of the rivers? There are areas where the rivers will flood when it rains. Why do you build there? The forest, the papyrus, ebitogo, ebifunjo, the swamp grass, ebigugu, Cyperium latifolia, are God's breaks. Ebiziza wo mu Luganda bakiyita batya? Ebiziza. Ebinyankole call it ebiziza. So God has put natural breaks on water. The forests, when it rains in the forest, first of all, the trees break the raindrops, because those raindrops can be very strong. You fellows who have never been in the rain, you may not know. Some of the raindrops are very strong. If it hits you, it's like a stone. So if it hits the ground, it causes directly. It causes the soil to jump, erosion. But if it first hits the leaves of the trees, it breaks. It's it doesn't go down to the ground direct. And then in the forest, because of the leaves which drop down, it is like a mattress. So like a mattress. If it rains, it doesn't fall. Instead of like raindrops falling on cement like here, it falls on soft ground full of leaves, and the water is slowed down now. So the papyrus, the swamps, are God's breaks, ebziza, and ropes. So there are two things, ebziza and ropes, emigua, emigoye. The forest, the swamp, the papyrus are doing two things. God used them to do two things: slow down the water, act as brakes. Number two, the forests hold the soil. The roots of the trees are the ones which hold the soil. Now you remove that. If you don't tie the millet esasika, it spreads out. Slow down the God's breaks, ebziza, and ropes, emigua. Slow down the mukoka, the runoff. Slow down the mukoka, the runoff. Umutunga, alele, in our language of the north. And also to hold the soils, especially in the steep areas, to hold the soils, the roots. Why would reasonable people not see this? In Ntungamo, where I was born, we were surrounded by hills and wetlands. We respected the whole environment. You could not get somebody going into the swamp to cultivate there. You couldn't. It was almost zero. Who promoted the culture of okunyoma, God's plans? Okunyoma is ignore, look down upon.
Yes, sir.
Is it ignore?
No, ignore is to just leave it, but you are deliberately not doing what you're supposed to do.
Is to like look down upon or something. Who brought this culture of okunyoma? This is the word that came to my head. Kudharau. In Swahili we say dharau. To look down upon God's plans. Let us go back to the book of Genesis, where God commanded that let the dry land be separated from the water. It says in chapter 1, verse 9 as follows. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God is the one who said this. We're not the ones who created swamps or forests or mountains. It's God. I will give a comprehensive report on the occasion of the NRM Day in January 2025. On this occasion, these few remarks are all I want to say. However, I cannot end my short speech without pointing out two issues. One, warning the country about the growing danger of the monkeypox disease, Mpox. This disease is apparently being spread in two ways: contact with a sick person and through sex. The good thing is that it does not go through breathing like corona. Corona was very dangerous, because sitting in the room with people, you could get it. But here, you need to spread it by contact. That is like sharing clothes, handshakes, sitting where a sick person has been sitting, etc. is enhanced when sick people do not report to the medical centers and remain at home, thereby infecting the people in the house where they live. Spreading by sex happens apparently in the time of the incubation of this disease, which is 21 days, because when the pox blisters have appeared, the disease will be clear and sex is not likely. Therefore, anybody with blisters of monkeypox, report to the health center and isolate yourself from your family. And secondly, avoid indisciplined sex. Finally, I congratulate Ugandans on the good performance of our sportsmen and women. Ever since 1986, the NRM has been concentrating on peace building and economic recovery. We have not yet concentrated on sports, on music, and other talent-based services. Nevertheless, the mere achievement of peace has already started unleashing star performance by our sportsmen and women in the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, African Games, etc. I congratulate all of them. And we are still using simple techniques of support, like the order we gave of recruiting everybody who has got a high talent into the security forces, into the prisons or the police or the army. This was deliberate. We wanted them to get where to have a base from where they can train. When they join the army, we don't send them to Somalia to fight. They stay here training. They get the little salary of the army, of the police, of the prisons, but they get time to train. they get a base from where to operate. So by having those simple things and some infrastructure like Nambole, because Nambole was supposed to be built in the 60s, but it couldn't be built. But in our time, we were able to build it. And slowly we are adding on. But in spite of the fact that we have not done what we want to do for sports, because we are busy with peace and with minimum economic recovery. Just because of the peace, you can see the stars who have come up. We have also been honored to be granted the opportunity to host CHAN early next year and AFCON in 2027, along with our brothers and sisters in Kenya and Tanzania. When I asked what is the difference between CHAN and AFCON, I was informed that CHAN are the players who are best in their home countries, while AFCON includes the ones who are playing for professional football for money abroad. They come back to play for their national teams. I'm glad the government is working vigorously to ensure that the necessary infrastructure is in place. I thank everybody and I wish all of you a prosperous 2025. I can ask the Honorable Nankabirwa to give a summary in the Luganda, and then I don't want to delay you from going to your fireworks, because I saw in the newspapers that 2,900 places will have fireworks. So the whole of Kampala will be. So in order not to delay you, let's get something from Nankabirwa. Naffe tugenda kukola ebyaffe.